Good morning. Today is Friday, Erev Shabbos, September 11th. Parshas Nitzavim Vayelech, the last Shabbos of the year. I hope that everyone please makes sure to get their seat reservations in by today. Today is the absolute deadline because we have to make very concise arrangements. As you'll see, the huge tent has gone up in front of the shul, and we look forward to an inspiring and meaningful Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot coming up ahead of us. And also just a reminder that tomorrow night we'll be beginning Slichos. We'll be at 11 o'clock inside the main sanctuary. It will be live and also streamed on Zoom. If there's anyone that would like a particular aliyah, there are some available. Please contact Andy Hutter, and he can advise you about what's available, perhaps another way that you can support your shul. But all in all, there's a tremendous amount of work that's taking place to get us all ready for the Chagim, and I'm very excited about it, despite the fact that it's going to be somewhat unusual and certainly different than what we are used to. Today, of course, is September 11th. And I'm sure that we'll all take a moment to think and look back and possibly put yourself where you were almost 2 decades ago, when the events that changed the face of our country, our personal lives, the way we look at things like air travel, security, all these types of things, the way we appreciate our military, our first responders, our police, firemen, EMTs, Port Authority police. Those are things that really come into focus. I think, first of all, I just want to begin by saying that it's extremely important, especially now when people think that the law enforcement are there for us to dump upon and are expendable. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think that we have to have a tremendous amount of hakar satov and appreciation for those who put their lives on the line for us, keep us. We're in such a security state of mind, making the enhancements in the synagogue after anti-Semitic attacks in our country in the last couple of years. And it's the police, the sheriff's office, and law enforcement that keep us safe, mostly by what you don't see. And I think that people are too casual and too flippant about just dismissing the need and the appreciation for our law enforcement. And you may disagree with me, but you know what? I don't care, because I fully support our law enforcement. And the fact that we even have to say that, to me, is just sad, because 1 or 2 individuals don't define an entire population. And so if you do see law enforcement, just make sure that you let them know you appreciate what it is that they do for you on a regular basis. I think how we felt on that day, I at the time actually was working in Lower Manhattan. And in Lower Manhattan, the days following 9/11, and it was a ghost town. Much of it was closed, actually. And I kind of had that eerie feeling come back to me when on Mother's Day this year, we had to go through Manhattan at some point, and to see how Manhattan was desolate, empty, completely devoid of any traffic, people, cars. It was the same eerie feeling. We have to give proper commemoration to those who lost their lives on 9/11. Some people whom we know, people from our area, people who ran towards the trouble, all the firemen, all the policemen, all the Port Authority, all the EMTs who ran towards to try and save others. The unity that we felt in our country, the patriotism, and our resolve to be stronger, our resolve to be better as a nation. That's something that we should never forget, and we should also realize that it shouldn't come to a tragedy for us to come to that realization. But I find myself in a kind of unusual position today, because we have a sponsor for our video today, and it's Jill, Gracie, and Henry Sachs are sponsoring because today is Eric's birthday. Now, I can imagine that if you could pick on the calendar what day you wouldn't want your birthday to be on, I'm pretty sure 9/11 would be up there. Now, it's not Eric's fault that he was born on 9/11. I mean, he was born on 9/11 long before 9/11 was 9/11. But in halacha, we discussed this the other day, actually, between Mincha and Maariv. There is sometimes there's an occasion where your personal celebration takes a back seat to public mourning, and sometimes your personal mourning takes a back seat to public celebration. It doesn't mean that one is on and one is off. It just means that sort of there's a dominant part of the hybrid, and we have to figure out in our lives, how do we juggle sadness and simcha? How do we juggle mourning and elation and celebration? Because sometimes they can come together at the very same time. So I'm thinking about how to obviously give proper recognition for our sponsor and to Eric, but also at the same time not detracting from the sanctity of this day, especially for what it means in our country. So I want to share with you a story. You may have heard this, you may have heard of someone, somebody named Ben Sliney. Ben Sliney. So I'll tell you who Ben Sliney was. So of course we know what happened on 9/11 and the attacks on the towers and the Pentagon and the fourth plane which was brought down in Pennsylvania and the heroic actions of those who were on that plane, Todd Beamer and others. Now, the article continues, and I'll just read this to you, that while we now believe that no other planes were targeted at the time, each of the other 4,000 plus flights scheduled to be in American airspace at that time were at risk. But Ben Sliney, the Federal Aviation Commission's National Operations Manager on duty that morning, prevented future harm. Why? What did he do? He's the one that made the call to ground every single plane. Now, if you'll remember, there was no air traffic for days after that. I know that because my sister was in from Israel, and she was in with her infant baby, and she was the first El Al plane to take off from Kennedy after 9/11 to go back to Israel. As a matter of fact, the bris for her son took place on September 10th at night. The baby wasn't healthy for a long time and finally was healthy enough to have a bris. And I remember driving back through Lower Manhattan. We drove by the Vista Hotel. And this is September 10th around 11, almost midnight. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, we should stay here sometime. This is really nice. And this is only hours before everything fell apart. So Ben Sliney, he made the decision to ground all the planes. That, of course, isn't news. In fact, it's common knowledge. While hindsight teaches us that the call was correct, at the time it was a rather aggressive decision. Thankfully, it was the type of decision which Sliney was well equipped to make. He had 25 years of experience in air traffic control and or as part of FAA management, including a leader position at New York, what's called TRACON, which has responsibility over air traffic for New York City's 3 major airports and some smaller regional airports nearby, like Teterboro, for instance. His position as National Operations Manager gave him immediate access to information as it became available. But the decision to ground the planes, that was Sliney's to consider and ultimately to make. So in all, Ben Sliney's initiative makes for an incredible story. As a matter of fact, when Universal Pictures decided to turn the heroism of the passengers of Flight 93 into a movie, they didn't overlook Ben Sliney's role. They even asked him to play himself in the role in the movie. Okay, that's a great story, an incredible story, somebody who had to make a very tough decision, and he made the right decision, and his name, which probably most people don't know, is one that we probably all should know. But there's one interesting point of this story that really, really brings this home. And if it was Paul Harvey, he would say, and now you know the rest of the story. As incredible as this story is, one particular fact makes it jaw-dropping. On September 10th, 2001, Ben Sliney was not yet a National Operations Manager for the FAA. His first day on the job was September 11th, 2001. Can you imagine? His first day on the job. It's people like this. Real heroes. Heroes who are unsung. Heroes who use their knowledge, their training, their experience, and when push comes to shove, when the time comes, they're cool, calm, collected, and they make the right call. So you're going to say, what does it have to do with Eric Sachs? Look, I don't know if there's anybody who doesn't know Eric Sachs. First of all, somehow he manages to hit a golf ball swinging lefty, and he does not remind me of Phil Mickelson. Maybe a little bit more Bubba Watson. That's maybe. But think about how many people in this basic geographic area look better, get jobs, get interviews, meet spouses, impress others, and all because of Eric Sachs. You're going to say, what do you mean? What is he, some sort of coach? No, people's countenance is very important. And for someone, the difference between someone who has, let's say, straight teeth and non-straight teeth could be enormous. You'll say, come on, that's not a big deal. But it's not just that. Anyone who's ever been inside of Sachs Orthodontics, which I'm trying to encourage Eric to really put himself out there more. Maybe open an Instagram account or something like that. Maybe partner with Summit Dental so we can, people can find out about him. But anyone who's ever been in Saks Orthodontics will just be in awe of the professionalism, the care, the concern that Eric has for each and every patient. Everywhere we go, if I walk somewhere with Eric, more people come up to him than to me, which is relieving for me, that more people know who Eric Saks is. And I could tell you this, that during the shutdown when Eric couldn't work and his office couldn't work, and I saw the care that he gave not only to his patients but also to the people that work for him, how he took care of them, and how he valued his time off to be with his family. And he's one person who, in my mind, has these heroic aspects. You'll say, well, it's a crazy comparison. I don't think so. Sliny, smiley, it's all the same thing. Someone who dedicates his life to making sure that other people are the best people that they can be, the best appearance that they can be. People feeling good about themselves, but at the same time, raising a beautiful family. And we had the occasion to celebrate Gracie's bat mitzvah over Zoom. It wasn't what we planned. And we look forward to celebrating Henry's bar mitzvah in a few weeks, which, is going to be completely outstanding and no question in my mind. And to see the family that they raise and what they do for our shul, for all the causes in the neighborhood. And you'll see Saks Orthodontics always at the forefront of trying to help others. That's the type of people we need to recognize. And maybe then it's not a coincidence that we're celebrating Eric's birthday today. A birthday is a day when we take stock in who we are, who our friends are. We take stock in our accomplishments and what there's yet to be done. And when I look at Eric, I'm extremely proud. Eric, I'm proud of what you've built. I'm proud at how you carry yourself and the respect that you command in the community. But more important, I'm proud of you and your family that you've raised, and I'm proud of the mensch that you are. So on this somber, solemn day, when we talk about greatness and we remember those who lost everything, and we try to strengthen our resolve about how to be better neighbors, better citizens, better Americans, I want to give recognition to Eric Saks, who has spent his whole life just trying to be a better person, trying to be a better congregant, trying to be a better husband and a better father, and really serving the community. So today, Eric, I know it's not the most glorious day to have a birthday, but celebrate, you shall, commemorate, we will, and move forward, we all must. So I wish everybody on this last Shabbos of the year, Shabbat Shalom, we shall never, ever forget those fateful events. We should also never forget that when we have personal simchas, when we have personal celebrations and milestones, we have to recognize them, capitalize, build upon them, because we never know. So again, on this last Shabbos of the year, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, Ksiva Chasima Tova, to each and every one of you, and I will see you all in Shul.